Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Hear Her Roar. So, a little bit different this afternoon, yet again. We are not in the mic'd up studios, but I am also not with Rachel. I have Linda back with me this afternoon, and we are both coming to you live from our respective dens. Linda's den's a little bit more decked out with tiger's gear than my one is. But before we jump in, just want to send a massive shout out and all of our love to Daniel from the Mic'd Up Studios. We're all thinking of you and we're all praying for you as well. And we look forward to being back in studio as soon as possible. But Linda, thank you so much for stepping in again this week. We love having you as part of the team.
Darling, I love coming on board. You know that. But I still miss Rachel. She's my girl too.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, we're definitely going to do an episode where the three of us can get together and just sit and yarn footy. But this week we have quite a bit to get through. We've got a big week of NRLW to talk about with the big win over the Dragons on the weekend, the upcoming game against the Warriors on Sunday, and then we'll talk a little bit about, those smelly boys as well. But we'll stick mostly to the girls. But before we get started, you mentioned that you've got a couple of little pieces of memorabilia behind you. What would be your favorite piece that you would like to share with us today?
No, you can't do a favourite. Like my favourite horse. No, no. But very special. I don't know. Can you see? That's the Benji painting? Can you see
Yep,
it?
yep.
And then we've got Benji's boot and Robbie's boot.
Oh, wow.
And then I can get up and walk with this, can't I?
You can if you want. Yep.
All right, everyone, come along. We got jerseys, jerseys.
Wow.
Can you see that one?
Is Robbie? Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how good am I. Is that on?
Yep.
So that is hello. That is yeah, they're extremely but hey, come on. Who can beat that?
Wow. That's a very special piece, that one.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing. We live out on acreage, and that's the first thing in our bushfire plan is to grab the Grand Jersey.
Well, it's irreplaceable, as they said, photos photos and passports are the first things, but that to me would be up on my list as well if I had a signed '05 jersey.
Love it.
Again, so as we say every week, we just want to give a huge shout out to our two sponsors, including the Village Florist at Hunters Hill, and Linda, yourself, and your amazing husband, Phil, from Sydney West Furniture Repairs. Thank you so much again for supporting us. But you and Phil have been supporting Women's Rugby League for quite a while now, and you talked about that a little bit in the first episode that you came on with us. But what made you decide to jump on and get behind this little podcast that Rach and I have started to put together?
Oh, another thing, love at first listen. Like when I first watched the girls, I told them I'm a busy woman. I can only come to one game. And then I watched one game and it was like, oh my goodness, I got to help these people. They're amazing. And you guys doing a podcast, listened for the first time and went, oh my God, I got to help these ladies. They're amazing.
So thank you. But why are you supporting Women's Rugby League, something that's important to both of you? Again, you sort of mentioned it just then, but you often talk about things that are more than rugby league, and we'll talk about a specific example a little bit later when we talk about Sunday's game. But what is it about the women's game that for you is more than rugby league?
Yeah, like I love my maybe it's me because I am a woman underneath all this big stuff, big, ovaries and things. But I've been and watched games where, they had every right to hang their head. You know what I mean? Whether it's rough calls, this is going back to Harvey Norman days and other things, and rough calls or rough bounce the balls, and just, getting hammered. And I've never, not once, seen anyone drop their head or give up. So I just admire, I can't, the admiration just keeps going next level. And especially now with our girl, with Racine, my adopted daughter for a year, being mum, she's just provided that rock that everyone's just, yeah, I can't rave enough. But I keep saying to everybody, you've got to go to the game. You feel the energy on this level that's just, I don't know, girl power or
Yeah.
whatever.
Very true. And so, if you were talking to somebody else who was potentially thinking about sponsoring the women's game next year or getting behind the girls in a financial way, what message would you want to get out to those particular people?
It is more than a game. I always say that their game is outstanding. It's so exciting. Um, yeah, so it's more than just sponsoring a team. That you're setting up a club that's going to, affect the whole family. If one player, one girl gets a pathway and makes it through, well, that affects the whole family. And as the game expands and you get sponsorship and more money, NRL and advertising, cocktail, blah, blah, it's a very wise investment. It's a fast growing sport. But the girls are just so appreciative. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
amazing. Before we go on, your microphone is a tiny little bit muffled. So since you put your phone down, it's just been a little bit more muffled than when we were chatting beforehand. So,
That better?
there we go.
It's probably full of horse hay. I
Now,
can't charge it half the time. We got to pick all that hay from.
oh no, it might have just been sitting flat on the
Yeah, it
table.
was.
But now I sort of heard most of what you said for that last response. But do you want to just again repeat if there was somebody out there who was contemplating sponsoring the girls' game, what would be the number one benefit apart from obviously the advertising that they get? But what would be the biggest benefit from supporting our West Tigers girls at this point in time?
For me, it's getting in on the ground floor, getting to know them all, seeing our game just get better and better. My Your money's going to work for results, but it's building a club culture. So the more people that come on board, the more the family grows. You know what I mean? And only great things can come from that.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. So during the week, the boys on the West Tigers Life podcast were talking about the NRLW girls and how good they are. Literally every West Tigers podcast is stealing our thunder and talking about our girls, but that's fine because it means that they're getting a lot more airtime than just our little hour here.
Yeah,
But everybody is so impressed with the way the girls are playing, how they're going so far this season, 4 wins from 6 starts, but as we've been calling it, 4 from 4 in the People's Championships. Uh,
totally.
but the one thing that the boys talked about on Tuesday night that they weren't 100% sure about, that quite a few people might not be 100% sure about, is the way that the finals work in the NRLW in comparison to the NRL. So, as I said, we are 6 rounds in. It is an 11-round season. So, after 4 wins from 6, as I mentioned, our girls are currently sitting in 5th place. So for the NRLW finals, it is a top 6. So it's a little bit different to the men's, which is a top 8. Obviously, there's more teams. So a top 6. And the way that it works is once the end of the regular season rolls around, that first week after that is the first weekend of the finals. And those teams that place in first and second uh, have the weekend off. So not only have they the luxury of everything else that we've spoken about this year, but they also then have the luxury of the weekend off where the remaining teams go into a sudden death kind of situation. So third plays sixth and fourth plays fifth. One thing that's still not entirely sure is the determination of the grounds for those games because some of those teams have quite big home grounds versus some have slightly smaller home grounds. It's really not well documented how the home ground advantage kind of works. But the winners of those 2 games then progress to the second round of the finals and take on that first and second place, who then have the opportunity to win their way into the grand final. So even though as we've sort of mentioned quite a few times, that first and second place team has the weekend off. Everybody says that it starts all again once the regular season's over. The slate is cleared and everybody starts on the same level. And so basically, anybody who makes the top six does have the opportunity to make the grand final if you are on that particular day. So the fact that we're sitting in fifth place at the moment, we are more than halfway through the season now. How big would it be for the girls to make the finals this year?
Oh, how do I answer that without going on for hours? It's everything they've dreamt of from the time the NRLW started. That's it. It's everything they've dreamt of.
Mhm.
And we've been along all the way and supported them no matter what. And they've come off many times and said, "We play for you." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know for them to be able to look in each other's eyes as a team to go, "We're here." They're gonna, oh, I'm crying. See, no mascara. I knew it. I knew it. They're gonna be able to look in our eyes and say thank you for believing in it. Look, I'm literally crying again. This is crazy,
Mhm.
grown woman. I know what it means to them it's more than rugby league,
Yeah.
but it's everything. We want that trophy. Give me that ball. I go back to when we sponsored the Harvey Norman and they won the grand final. We come from nowhere.
Yeah.
We come from
Definitely.
nowhere. And, we all know the bounce of the ball, the rub of the green, that just all of that magic worked for us with a couple of goal kicks and field goals. It'll just, blow your mind. But that all happened and we got there and we won it. So anything's possible. Anything. I know that. I know that. And we're getting better as we're playing long. Like we've played the two big guns.
Mhm.
All right. And yeah. Now the rest is just good rugby league games. Like that game against the Dragons was outstanding footy.
Mhm.
Outstanding footy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, to look in our eyes, I know that. I know that's what it means to them.
But I guess the big question is now that the girls are doing quite well and are looking at potentially making the finals, this will be the first time a first grade team has made the finals for the West Tigers in what, 15 years, I think it is.
I'm going to cry again because if anything that can bring our club together, it's the girls.
Exactly. And that's a big
I
thing
love
that,
my boys.
yeah, Rachel
You
and
know,
I have been trying to tell everybody it's like you've got to get behind these girls. These girls are a breath of fresh air.
yeah,
They deserve the crowds out there cheering them on.
absolutely. But I see how much it's grown now. Imagine when there's enough in a salary cap that they can all be full-time players.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And that the playing field's leveled a little bit. Like we obviously don't want every week to be, exactly the same teams playing each other. There still definitely needs to be some differentiation within a competition to make it a good competition.
Yep.
But if we can start to narrow that gap, so we're not seeing these scores blow out, we're not seeing teams go half a season without a win, I think that makes for a much better product for
Well,
the
that's all
average
we're
viewer as
after.
well.
Yep. Agree 100%. Kelly, we won't harp on about the amount of rep players. My husband actually come up with an idea and said, perhaps apply a point system to what each player is worth.
Hmm.
And, the teams allowed maximum 500 points.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Isabel Kelly's worth 100. And so, any rep player is worth 100 points.
Yeah, that system has been uh, talked about quite a bit. The girls from the Say Less podcast have spoken about that alongside um, the tiered scenario where a similar kind of thing, a player that's played for their country is a tier one, a
Yeah.
player that's played Origin,
100,
or
yeah.
sometimes Origin could be a tier one versus a tier two, but understandably, there are a lot of different things that come into play with that. But I think if the NRL and the RLPA are really serious about wanting to make this a really solid product, there does need to be something that changes in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. It's critical. Otherwise, we're just going to keep harping on about the People's Premiership.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, it's just, yeah, and that's not good for the game.
No.
You know, you want everyone to yeah, level playing field, and then may the gods be with you. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So speaking of a level playing field, I think the game on Sunday actually showed that on their day, any team could, the Dragons gave our girls a really good run for their money. And after the gritty win that we had at Magic Round, a lot of people were like, oh, the Dragons, they'll be a walk in the park. But the
Mm.
Dragons came out on Sunday full of intent, full of strength, full of speed, and they gave us a really good run. The opening 10 minutes of the game in particular, the Dragons had 71% of the field position. So we basically hadn't had a look at our end of the field in the first 10 minutes. Shaylee ended up drawing the first penalty. Lily Rogan forced a dropout, but we weren't really able to sort of gather any momentum at that time. Then Salma thought she had the ball stripped, called for a captain's challenge. It was deemed that it was a loose carry and that the player just simply knocked the ball out of her hands.
Mm.
And then a few minutes after that, the Dragons scored their first try through Jamie Millard on the wing. You were there on Sunday with a couple of other people. So Rachel, Gary, I think NRL Fanatic was out there, Maddie G was out there, Dean and Lucas were out there. So and Geordie. So there was a nice little core group of West Tigers supporters. But what did that first? So Jamie scored basically right in front of where you guys were. So from what I could see on the TV, I could see this little group of orange and black on the hill. And as I mentioned, I could hear the whistle through the TV as well. Um, but how did everybody feel once that first try sort of came through? Because it felt like the Dragons were really making easy meters and we were struggling to get out of our end.
It wasn't like we're in shock, all right, because we know how well our girls play, but it was more like, whoa, they had extra wheat bix this morning, the Dragons. They were ferocious. They were very, very, very good. Their tackling, their defence was, it was Montana Clifford. How can it not be amazing? But
Hmm.
it was a bit of a, oh, wow. I love that. I love the tight games. I mean, I want to win 100-0 every week. But, yeah, the first 10 minutes, and it was quick. It's so quick now.
Yeah, that's one thing I did notice. That game was very fast.
It was amazing. When we come home, I put it on again to watch it so I could watch it again. Do you know what I mean? It was just so quick. But, the whole game was one on goal kicking, so it was
Yeah.
a backwards and forwards arm wrestle the whole way with, every single one of those girls, I'm talking Dragons as well, just, yeah, gave their all. So it
Mhm.
was a really exciting game. It was a fantastic game, to be honest.
Yeah. So after the first 20 minutes, still we basically had no ball in our red zone.
Mm-hmm.
The Dragons had just been down their end time and time again. Eloise Costa got across the line, but it was ruled that there was a double knock on in the lead up to the try. So that was waved away, that particular one. But it didn't take long for them to go in again through Jamie Millard. This time, Emily Bass ran in a little bit quick to try to shut down the centre, which left Millard open wide. They did miss the conversion, as you said, and it was 8-0 with only about 15 minutes to go in the first half. So Rach and I have spoken a bit this season about our edge defense and our wingers sometimes making those decisions and running in. Um, Again, were you sort of concerned that that would be something that could potentially lead to more points for the Dragons down those edges?
Or is it just a West Tigers thing that we lead
It
on?
is very true.
Look, I was actually speaking with Philip about it. Um, Goal kicking is crucial in our game. All right. It's a great big ball and it's very hard to kick from a sideline. If we keep them out wide, no matter what, then is that a strategy?
No, I do like that. That is a very, very good point. especially in the women's game, because Rach and
In the
I,
women's, yep,
yeah, Rach and I spoke about that as well, is, do we get rid of the conversions because they are a little bit trickier for the females to be able to kick them
absolutely.
from the wing. But no, as you said, it is definitely could definitely be used as a strategy to force those teams to be scoring out wide and then make it really hard because there's
Yes,
not a lot of NRLW kickers that have a high conversion success rate from the wings.
it's exactly right.
Very, very good point. I love
Yeah,
that.
so if they're down there, it looks like it's going to be on, you just make sure it's out wide. Anyone scores, under the post, 10 more laps of
Yeah.
training.
No, I do like that. Very, very
Yeah.
good point. Very, very good point. It didn't take long after that, though, for us to actually get down our end. And as soon as we were in our 20, Racine put in the most beautiful grubber that forced a dropout. There was a bit happening at this time. Emily Bass actually had two players put on report for hitting her high after the fact, neither of which we got an on-field penalty for. It like I know, the referees have a lot that they need to be looking at. It's a very tough job for them out there, but this isn't just any penalty. Both of those, Emily reeled out of both of those tackles, grabbing at her head, and there was
Hmm.
there was nothing that was looked into. In the end, she ended up leaving the field and isn't playing this weekend due to a calf injury, but I'm not sure how much of that, has to do with the the absolute battery that she was dealing with. But it was really quite frustrating to see twice that, it came up on the screen that a player was placed on report, and then they showed the replay in the bottom corner, and both of them were two tackles on Emily that really rattled her. And, if we're talking about trying to make sure that, we're protecting the players' heads, like, is that something that should be looked at a little bit more?
100%, Dylan. When I saw it, like I'm there live, so I don't get to see the little replay. I knew she was hit and stuff like that. Then I watched it when I come home. I was screaming.
Mm,
Like the boys' game, you just got to, tickle their chin and they're off. What's this? I've seen many, many high shots on girls that would have been instantly picked up on the boys. You
yeah.
just got to tickle their ear and it's a high shot. That's it. So Bass is just, if I could bottle, I've written it on a few comments, if we could bottle her toughness and sell it, we'd retire in a minute. And this
Definitely.
is what these girls are. I don't know what it is. It's the boys aren't sissies, like they're amazing. You know that.
Hmm.
But these girls just, and it's not we're not trying to prove that we're better. Because boys and women, we love each other. But I don't know. I don't know whether it's just this bitchiness that won't lay down ever. But that's Bass. She's just and Lily the other side. I saw her get smashed 2 weeks, I think, or the week prior, and I'm
Oh,
like,
she got clotheslined by the Sharks
totally,
player and nothing.
totally. It would have been a sin bin, and you name it. And she's
Yeah.
just like, whoa. So our two wingers, the two toughest nuts I've ever come across. I love them.
Yeah, they bounce back up, which is probably the reason why they don't get
That's
those
it.
penalties. Whereas the men lay down, they roll around, they carry on. Like we see it in the soccer more so than in the rugby league. But we've seen Tito try to do it for the men's and ended up being sent off for a HIA. There was no penalty, but he got sent off for a HIA. And so there are the benefits, the pros and cons of laying down after something like that. But our
Oh,
girls,
yeah.
like we saw Selma from the Parramatta game where she was just blood was pouring from her face, and she's like, "Nah, just clean me up and I'll go back out." But
Totally.
they're incredible.
It's
Uh,
like it's like, me with horses. Not that I ride much anymore, but you come flying off the horse and you're like, yep, I'll be right. That was all my fault. Let's get back on. Off we go.
keep
Unless,
going.
your arm's dangling off, then
Yeah. So it didn't take long though, after we did start to get some momentum down our end for Racine to have another beautiful kick down our attacking end. And this time, the Dragons try scorer in Millard wasn't able to handle it. We were given a full set inside the 20. And with a really nice attacking shift, Racine threw the cutout ball to Namoy, who then was able to quickly get it out to Emily Bass, despite all being belted up for the last 10 minutes. And she was able to cross for her try of the season. So similarly, Racine wasn't able to convert that one because it was far out on the wing, but the score was now 8-4, and it felt like there was a shift coming. There was a momentum change. The very next set, we had Racine Grubber again. It was knocked on just meters from the Dragons line. On tackle two, Losana moves into dummy half, picks up the ball. She shapes to throw out the back to one of her second rowers coming out behind her, and completely sold Tegan Berry. She jumped out of that line, opening a massive hole, and Lasana just went straight through it and scored her first try of the season. So Racine was able to convert this one as it was a little bit closer to the goalposts, and the Tigers then went into halftime leading 10-8. So with about 10 minutes to go, I don't think anybody was expecting that we were going to be going into the sheds at halftime up. But how good was that from Lasana? How good is it to see her back and enjoying her footy?
She's glowing, isn't she? Just glowing. Like she's got a smile that just knocks your socks off, right? She always has from the time I met her. But now it's just even more so. I'm so happy for her. Like I'm not saying she's under Racine's wing at all, because they're both separate, you know what I mean? Racine. But I think it's given Lasana just a reassurance that I can do this, you know what I mean? I can be me. It's because she can be her, and together we can get things done.
Yeah.
It's great. It's lifting everybody.
It definitely is. There was a little interview with her this week that she just said she's just so happy, and it's showing in her footy because she just gets to play her game. She knows that teams are going to target Racine. So her job, she said, is to try to take a little bit of that pressure off Racine and hope that teams aren't expecting that.
Already she knows. Already she's ready to do that.
Yeah.
That's gold. But we've got a lot of good she knows
Very.
also. It's her and Racine, the halves, they run the show, I get it. But whoa, haven't we got some good stuff to help them, to give them the room to make
That's
them look
right.
good. Kezi
Speaking of
last week,
giving, oh, Kezi
I was
was
going to
brilliant.
say, Kezi last week, every time she got the ball, she had a minimum of 3 players on her, sometimes 4.
Yeah.
I reckon the coach said, the Dragons coach, anyone who lets Kezi make a break is doing 10 extra laps.
Yeah, because it definitely looked that way. Somebody commented on one of my posts this week saying that Kezi needed a rocket up her. I
Yeah.
was like, no, I sat and rewatched that game yesterday, and I don't know what planet that person has come from with that comment, because Kezi, we're going to miss Kezi this week based off the impact that she had against the Dragons.
Absolutely. When you're using up 3, 4 of their players every tackle, every time you do a hit up, they're getting tired. And their defence was outstanding. I mean, then next thing you got Sala going through and all the rest, you know. But yeah, they wrapped Kezi up the whole. I noticed that more when I watched the game when I came home again. You know, it
Yeah,
was like
definitely.
I reckon that's what the coach said. Anyone who lets her through, yeah.
Yeah.
So no, she's heart and soul
And
of who we are. You know.
yeah, you mentioned there the goal of drawing defenders, and that's basically how the Dragons scored their next try. They had a couple of hit ups through the middle, and on what they were able to do is create a bit of a gap on the outside, and Talia Fumeano was able to run through a hole. She did get through a gap between Kezi and Shanice, and then she was able to beat Caitlin at the back. But that was a very tough run from her. She was like, listening to the commentary, they spoke about the fact that she has a really strong fend, and she was able to fend off Kezi and Caitlin. but that led to the Dragons getting out to 12-10. So again, they weren't able to convert, even though that was a much closer try to the posts. At this point, it was 16 minutes to go, 12-10. There was, a few errors from each side, a few penalties from each side. It was very much just simple, not simple, but end-to-end football. It was, let's get it down our end and let's get it down your end. And it was just sort of going backwards and forwards. And just before they're in the commentary, the referee said, "Oh, the next try is the most important try." And then the Dragons went in, and I sort of thought, "Oh, is this it?" But you were there. What was the atmosphere? What was the energy like from the girls live versus what we sort of see on the TV?
Oh, I didn't watch the girls after that because I'm just like, oh no. And then I start praying, please God. No, I keep going back to that game where they were getting flogged and they come off and she burst into tears because there was nothing left. Those girls just won't give up. I know it.
Hmm.
I just know it. And then when it's kick off again, I just look at them all and it's like, it's the start of the game. We got to do this. Let's go. That's what permeates around them all the time. Let's do this. Let's go.
Hmm.
So, until a game is completely out of reach, I know what these girls are like. And I keep giving credit to the Dragons because they played so well and their defense was incredible.
They did. They played extremely well considering how they'd gone the last couple of games leading up to this.
That's exactly
They're
right.
Yeah, they're attacking. They've just taken the mantle from the Tigers of last year with the lowest average score per game, at only 9 points per game to start off the season. But as you said, our girls just did not stop fighting, and in particular, the biggest moment of the game came with 4 minutes to go, where three Tigers players were tackling a Dragons player. So it was Racine, Shanice, and Namoy all involved. Next minute, you see Namoy peel off, Shanice peel off, and then next minute, Magic Race has the ball in her hands. An amazingly executed one-on-one steal, not even 25 meters out from our line. Like, what was the reaction on the sidelines from that one?
Absolute elation, jumped in the air like stunned. That little clip of footage when it happened should be played in every training camp on like this is how it's done.
This is how it's done. This is how you do a one-on-one strip. You engage the players. You've
Yep.
no doubt they've got a code word that Racy just was like, "Yep,
Them,
it's mine. Get off." And then with 45 seconds to go, Salma goes into dummy half. Again, she fakes to throw left, but runs right across the goalposts. She gets taken down, but again, she drew a number of defenders. Faith got into dummy half. And then for, I think, the fifth time this season, Faith did exactly what Lasana did, picked up the ball, faked to throw it out the back, caught Tegan Berry once again. Moses parted the seas straight over, 14-12, kick to come. Racy nails it, 16-12, end of story.
that is the game. Tegan Barry's like, I know, I'm sure that she'd be kicking herself, and please don't. You know what I mean? But gosh, what a drive!
So NRL Fanatic put out his little video. So he was recording the last 45 seconds of the game. And so you could hear the little group of you screaming. And then when Faith goes over, you just turn around with your hands in your head in your hands. And I think you said that you just burst into tears because
Totally.
it was such a emotional moment for everybody.
Absolutely, darling. We had our hearts in our mouth, you know what I mean, the whole game, and then it happens. And I keep saying I've saved so much money on mascara. I just can't wear it anymore because, I cry with the boys too. Don't you worry about that. I definitely cry. We're happy and sad and angry tears, whatever, you know me,
Yeah.
my heart's on my sleeve. So, but to see Faith, because they targeted her last week, wouldn't let her do it at all. And the emotion, oh, hun, there's no words to say. That's what it's about. There's no words when it happens, you know. It's just this, and you're surrounded by this little group that was getting bigger. A lot of people came earlier to watch the game. I was really impressed. Really impressed. A lot of people came earlier. But it's just, for us, so happy. But I always go back, it's for the girls, for them. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
You know, just so, and yeah, bringing us together as a club. That's what it's doing.
So we sort of pick our top 3 players, the player of the match, and then 2 honourable mentions from the game. And I think when I put the post out, I said it could have been pretty much anybody for the honourable mentions. Once again, because the stats, when you look at the stats, they're just incredible. But we opted to go with Caitlin for the player of the match. She ran almost 210 meters. She broke 8 tackles. She had a lot of crucial cover tackles where she stopped players from making breaks or getting over the line.
Favors, yeah.
Now, Caitlin probably doesn't get talked about in terms of the fullback ranks as some of the other bigger names in the competition. And she's had a very different role this year to last year. So last year she'd scored 9 tries. She had a hat trick. So she was getting across the line more, but it feels like we're using her quite differently this year. How important do you think Caitlin and her confidence is for this team?
She's, enormous. But I agree with your player of the match. I thought she was outstanding. Her defence is just incredible, but she's taking the line on in attack as well, which I'm loving. But it seems like we're saying the same thing about these players across the board now.
Yeah.
It's not just, there's so many standouts now that are just, whoa, that was a great, whoa, she's backed up again. Wow, that's 3 in a row. Like Tara, I've been watching her a lot as well. Her defence has been incredible. Quicker.
Tara had the second most highest tackles on Sunday.
Quicker.
Yep.
Incredible. She's better and stronger. And so the same that we're talking about Caitlin, but she's bigger and quicker and stronger. So it's all that energy is just, once you have all that energy running around everybody, you can't help but pick up on it and want to improve and become bigger and better.
Yeah.
And, I just keep saying it for our bookends of Kezi and Sala, to have all that around them now, the young'uns coming through with some older heads in, not too old, Racine and Holly, but that's taken that off them. So they're going, just across the board. But Caitlin definitely, woman of the match. She played very, very well.
Yeah. Then we went with Lasana and Shanae as our honourable mentions. I think every week I've put the post out, people have said, oh, what about this player? And what about that player? And what about this player? And it really does prove that it could be anybody that could get named in those top 3 players. But
how could you not honourably mention Bass on that game?
Yeah, Bass, and she only played 34 minutes because she didn't come back on.
Exactly right.
Half, but she'd scored a try. She got bashed from pillar to post.
Yeah. I mean, I just got, most of them I get mixed up in positions because they've got headgear on and it's all so quick. But across the board. Yeah. Across the board.
It feels like this year the players are so versatile in where they can fit in. Like I mentioned that with the Sharks game, there was a point in the second half of the Sharks game where I couldn't work out who was playing where. Yes. Because we'd had people go off for injuries or people go off for HIAs and we needed to shuffle places around. Faith started that game on Sunday in the centres and then moved into the dummy half role, and Shanae came into the centres and then Shanae went into the middle, and it just feels like there's a real versatility across what the girls are able to do, and it's really benefiting because it doesn't matter if anybody goes down, the girls just pick up where that piece needed to be put, and it's as if that's how they trained all week.
They've just got a can-do attitude. Like, all right, we've been dealt these cards, let's go. Let's play these now. That's just the way it is. We've got to keep going. Very proud of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about the spark, the frustration, and the talking point from this game. So Rachel sent through her spark, which is Bass. She said, "How tough is she? She received some high shots and was often left on the ground. She never gave up and still found a way to try to find to find the try line late in the game." What was your spark from the game?
Oh, Racine Strip. Going to be hard to top that.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2 tries, the girls, the try, but that was critical. That was, that was massive.
Yeah.
Can't top that. Close to them, like they're side by side because I'm still in awe of Bass. She just popped up and went, "Yeah, you reckon that'll knock me out? Bring it on." Oh, again, no. Until they eventually, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's
My
your?
spark was just, we've spoken about it quite a bit, was just the never say die attitude. It was just the game doesn't finish until that final hooter sounds,
Yeah.
and we're not leaving until they carry us off.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
100%. That's exactly. I could feel it. I could see it.
What
That's why I
about
say to people, you got to go. Go.
yeah.
You can really see it and feel it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So the frustration, Rach said that she was frustrated by the ruling of the 10 by the referee. So the Dragons didn't seem like they were getting back 10 and the ref was walking them onside. In a game that's as fast as that particular game was, that's really important. If the players aren't getting back, then penalize them rather than bringing them back onside, because it is an unfair advantage when you're trying to get that quick play the ball. The idea is you want to catch them offside in order to draw that penalty. But what about the frustration for you?
Oh gosh. See, I try the offside. It was a lot of the time wasn't near where the play was, but because Rachel's pointing out to me, I'm like, yeah. And then when it was our turn, I didn't watch, so it wasn't. It's a hard one. I know. Gosh, the frustration for me, Dylan, I can't pick one. There's nothing that. Look, I'll take the frustration on behalf of Kezzy for that try to go through her. Again, I know she'd be kicking herself.
Yeah.
That's not her. That never happens.
Yeah.
So she's got an injury, and she's had 4 players hanging off her the whole game, pretty much. So I'll say that one because that's not my girl. She just doesn't miss them.
Yeah. My frustration ties into what we were saying about Emily Bass before, how she got hit high twice and it wasn't picked up on the field. And if we're serious about looking after player health, that's something that, I'm happy for them to miss offside. I'm happy for them to miss penalties like that don't have an impact on the potential future of a player.
We talked about it. Absolutely. If that happened in the men's game, it would have been instant penalties. Like you just got to tickle their chin and it's instant penalty. Like you could tell she got clobbered twice. So, I'm okay. We all agree on the same frustrations. That's pretty cool.
Okay, what about the talking point? So Rach is simply get out to Combank this weekend. Weddings, birthdays, anything, skip them, get to the ground early and support these amazing athletes and humans.
And if there's ever we can lift that curse of Combank, it's this weekend.
Yes.
All right. So please come out. They're just, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. We wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't be, carrying on if it wasn't an incredible product. And as I said, we've been there from the early days before NRLW. So to see where it is now and knowing it's getting better at a stadium like Combank, if you haven't been before, one of the best stadiums I've ever been at. It's just, unless you're like right up there, that's big steps to walk up like we
But
did.
it's a great view from up there.
It was
to get to,
amazing.
but it was good fun up there for the Parramatta game.
I promise everybody who's listening, if you haven't been, please come. If you are not blown away by what you see, come talk to me, and I don't know, I'll give you a cuddle or something. I'm pretty famous for them.
Yeah. Now, there was something else that you wanted to talk about from this particular game. that you said is more than rugby league. So what would you like to share with the audience?
Yes. If we were in the studio, I'd be able to show you a photo. So we'll put it up next week so the audience can see. This is a lot of credit to Rachel as well. She's pointed out to me, she's gone, oh my God, have a look at that little girl over there. And she was a beautiful little Asian little girl. And she had her own handmade tiger sign, you know, and she was at the footy with her dad. And it was her first ever game of rugby league. And yeah, Rachel, I just wanted to grab her and run off. She was just this perfect, so excited. The excitement was just beaming out of her. And I think I had to spare one of these ribbons that Charmaine, I've given them all away, Charmaine, so I need more. We gave her a ribbon to put in her hair and she was so excited and took her photo and we won, you know what I mean? So it was her very first ever rugby league game. I think she would look like she would have been about 4, maybe.
Hmm.
She'll never forget that day for the rest of her life. That's going to be a father-daughter day forever.
Yeah,
No matter what comes from there, win, lose, draw, the games along the way, she's never going to forget that moment with
that
us on the
first
hill.
game. Yeah,
So I would like, when I put the photo up next week, I'll send it through to you and you'll be in the studio and you'll be able to show it.
yeah.
Please get the dad to contact us and we'll organise, a proper West Tigers flag for her and, maybe a little scarf or something else because, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm always about sport is, as long as you're not drinking and gambling on it, sport is just the most wonderful leveler of everybody and it just can keep you out of mischief.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that was a really special moment. When you see the photos, like she's there with a little
Hmm.
sign, little handmade on a paddle bop stick,
That's
with it.
so cute.
Oh, darling, it's to die for.
Adorable. Alrighty, well, let's quickly run through the other games from round 6 before we jump in and talk about our round 7 game against the Warriors. So, the Bulldogs were able to hold off our fast finishing Cowboys 28-26. So the Bulldogs got out to a 20-6 lead at halftime, but the Cowboys, very similar to the Dragons, they weren't going away. Again, it was kicking that led to that 2-point difference between those two guys. So the Cowboys now still only have their one win against the Raiders. The Titans won I think it was their 5th game in a row against the Sharks, so 24-10 over the Sharks. The Sharks missed 41 tackles, which is really quite unusual for them. Uh, Basically, the Sharks were sort of pegged to be one of those top 4 teams for this year, but they've also only won one game this year, which is a little bit unusual for those
Mm.
girls. Then the game that we paid a little bit more attention to was the Warriors Knights. So the Warriors did defeat the Knights over in New Zealand 22-14. So the Warriors put on 2 tries within the first 5, which was, put everybody on notice and sort of everybody went, whoa, what's going on here? But then the Knights were able to come back to go into the sheds at halftime in front 12-10. But unfortunately, there was only a penalty goal in the second half that gave them more points. Similarly to the Sharks, they missed 44 tackles, which again, for Newcastle is quite, interesting. Where is this sort of defensive lapse coming from? We'll talk about the Warriors a little bit more in a second, but the next game, so the first game on Sunday, or sorry, the second game on Sunday was the biggest upset game of the round. The Raiders defeating the Broncos 28-4. Everybody thought that the Broncos were going to go to Canberra and it was going to be a whitewash. They scored first in the first 11 minutes through Lauren Dam, but then that was it. They didn't score another point for the rest of the game. The Raiders ran in 28 unanswered points after those first 11 minutes. And not only handing the Broncos their first loss in 15 games, it was also their biggest defeat in NRLW history. So Rach and I mentioned the Raiders last week, wondering, Adele sort of talked that they start strong and then slip off a little bit. But this game's really sort of put people on notice now about the Raiders. We play them in a couple of weeks at Leichhardt, so that'll be a good one. And the last game of the season, the Roosters ended up with another blowout score against the Eels, 46-4. The Eels weren't doing too bad at halftime. It was 14-6, but then the Roosters ran in six unanswered tries in the second half, and it, totally blew the scoreline out of the water. Um, Jocelyn Kelleher passed 300 individual points for one player in that game. Like that is an incredible milestone for only 50 games as well. So, um, Roosters now are the only undefeated team in the competition. They do play the Broncos this weekend, so it will be really interesting to see how the Broncos respond after that loss. But Linda, if I was to ask you right now, who are your two grand finalists? Who are you picking?
West Tigers and Parramatta.
That was a completely unintentional choke, not related to what you just said.
Gotcha. Look, I didn't watch the Brisbane-Canberra game, Broncos-Canberra game. So penalty count apparently weighed heavily.
Mm-hmm.
No comment. Did you hear me say no comment?
I did, definitely.
Very hard for me to say no comment. I would just
Mm-hmm.
like you to extra acknowledge that.
Yep. Yep.
So, you can't go past, they're both filled with rep players, both teams.
Yeah. I would love to see a Parramatta West Tigers grand final, but unfortunately, I don't think it's mathematically possible for the Parramatta Eels to make the
Yep.
finals.
If we had a grand final like the Dragons game,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be ecstatic.
I don't think I would survive.
Oh no, I'd be even more crazy for sure. For sure. But it was a really, really good game of footy.
Oh, it was a great game of footy. Even watching the replay, um, to prepare for tonight, I was still on the edge of my seat because I was like, oh my God, I know the outcome, but just watching it back again, um, it still gives you those, causes the heart rate to go up and then come back down and up and down.
Absolutely,
It's like
darling.
a workout.
Yeah, agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. So this Sunday we take on the Warriors at Combank Stadium, as we said. So it is a double header. The
Mm.
gates open at 1:30 and our girls kick off at 1:45. So it's a pretty quick turnaround between the gates opening and kickoff. So you don't have to hang around. You can just get straight in, get in your seat, and get ready to support the girls when they kick off. Now, Sandy's had to make a couple of changes to the team this week. We've already mentioned Kezi's not playing due to injury, and
Mm.
M Bass isn't playing this week either, also
Mm.
due to injury. So we've
Mm.
got Harmony Crichton moving out onto the wing and Shanae Lendl moving into the centres, where she sort of came off the bench the last couple of weeks. Sala and Shanice are still in the front row. So Shanice has moved from the number 13 with Holly coming back. So Shanice has moved back into the front row. And Portia has taken Kezi's place in the second row alongside Shaylee. Then the interchange, Faith, Tyra, Christian, and Brooke. And then we've got Leah, Tyler, Jatea, Lucy, and Kayla on the extended bench. So last week, Tyler and Tara were both named on the extended bench but moved in. Tyler, in particular, I thought was strong again. Only a few minutes again, but man, so impactful, making post contact meters like she was walking down the street.
Yeah.
It was really, really quite impressive to see such a young player have such power and be able to move the way that she does. With the changes to our side, is there anything that you're concerned about, or that the girls will just, as we sort of mentioned, next, well, they say next man up, but next girl up?
Yeah, no concerns at all. Truly, it's such a joy to see who can move around and what we can do now. Like giving Kezi a rest is not a rest, she's injured and stuff like that. We've got Holly coming back, perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Harmony on the wing, yeah?
Yes.
That's going to be good to watch.
Yeah.
Like to see anyone try and get past her.
Yeah, especially this Warriors side. Their outside backs have been where their points have been scored again. So similar to what we were talking about before, their outside backs are very fast. They've got some real speed in their outside backs. But both sides have won 4 from 6.
Yeah.
We've both beaten Parramatta and the Cowboys so far. The Warriors have only recorded 1 win against a side above them on the ladder. They did come close to the Titans at Magic Round, so they're sitting in fourth and we're sitting in fifth. I believe is the way that it sits at the moment. So looking at the statistics, fairly similar across the board. The only difference is in the points conceded. We've conceded 154 points and the Warriors have only conceded 100. So it's not a huge concern, nothing to really be worried about. But one big thing I did notice that I mentioned is that 9 of their players in last week's game made over 100 meters, and across their team, they had 12 line breaks, 4 tackle breaks, and 13 offloads. So their their pack has like across the park, they have quite a bit of size. Like players like Mele Hafanga in the centers. She's one who is a little bit of a wrecking ball who they just get the ball to her close to the line and she's able to crash over. So I think Shanae will be marking up with Mele this weekend. So Shanae does have a big task, but looking at the way Shanae defends, she takes on girls much bigger than her and she doesn't seem to care. So I think she'll be keen to rise to that challenge this week.
I
Um, so how confident are you from the last 2 weeks with us going into this game against a team that has that little bit more size and a little bit more speed, like the Warriors?
Yes, it's going to be a very tough game. I know that the size and the speed. Um, I believe our fitness will win it for us.
Hmm.
All right. We're quick and we're fit.
Yeah.
All right. And that it's a long game. And we just have to muscle up. So it's going to be a big and the game we just played against the Dragons was a very good, game to play. Now we've got to back it up again even more with the
Hmm.
Warriors.
No, I agree. It's those kinds of games like that one against the Dragons that you need every now and then to prove that you can still grind out a win when, you've done nothing but fight for 69, literally 69 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. And we've just got to do that again.
Yeah, I think we saw that with the Sharks game as well. It was once our girls really got over the top of them in the second half, we didn't necessarily, quote, run away with it, but you could see that our girls had a lot more of their momentum because they were, as you said, that little bit fitter and that able to keep with the pace of the beginning of the game, whereas the Sharks middle started to drop off in terms of, their lateral movement and things, and you were able to catch them out. Who are you most looking forward to seeing this weekend in this game?
Again, my favourite. Who's my favourite horse? Lasana.
Lasana?
Yeah, I'm just loving watching those two. The confidence Racine's given her. I told you, I call Racine a teenager with a woman's knowledge. She's,
Hmm.
that's who she is now. She's run around like a teenager, but she knows her stuff. You know what I mean? Been there, done that
Yeah.
stuff, which has just lifted Lasana. So more of that. The more like after last week's game, Lasana, I reckon she's going to like bring it on, Warriors.
Hmm. And Lasana's got quite a few try assists at Combank, so
Totally.
expect her and Shaylee to pair up again like they did against Parramatta and
Absolutely.
and catch those tired Warriors middles out late in the game, which will be very exciting to see.
And her goal line defence is like in red zone defence, Hasana. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I really, really am looking forward to watching our halves.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know all the rest around them are just like Portia. She's amazing,
Hmm.
isn't she?
They all are. It's hard to, it's so hard to
Thanks.
call out anybody because we've just speak every week about the determination that all of them go out onto the field with, and it's just really, really nice to see.
Totally, John. I love it.
Okay, let's really quickly wrap up and talk about the Harvey Norman girls as well, because they also had a big win on the weekend over Wentworthville Magpies. There were a couple of changes to the team list that was released during the week, which always happens with changes to the NRLW side. But Rachel said that Brooke played quite a lot of time off the bench in this game, and she was the difference essentially in the side.
Yeah.
They started slow, quite a few errors in the first half. Wenty actually dominated quite a bit and went into the score into halftime with the score at 12-8 to the Magpies, despite the with the Tigers sort of having those errors and lacking the fundamentals. Tia Jordan Vasilowski scored a double yet again, so she is a little try scoring machine for our Harvey Norman girls. And the second half, though, was much better. Wenty didn't score a point in the second half, and the Tigers scored 4 tries through Brooke, Luciana, or Lucy, Diamond, and Jewel. So Luciana, sorry, gosh, Linnea, Daniel, and Luciana both had strong games in the second row, running hard and making lots of meters. The completion rate was only at about 68%, so still needing to tighten up those few errors if they want to be in that finals hunt. And defense was strong. Wenty ended up missing 58 tackles, which is huge compared to only 22 by our girls. And that's really what led to the blowout score in the second half. Now, this weekend, the girls take on the Steelers, so the Illawarra Steelers at Collegian Sporting Complex in Wollongong. So that's on Saturday afternoon. The Steelers are sitting in fourth, and our girls are sitting in eighth position. So this is another important game for the girls if they want to try to make the finals. The team list has been put out, but again, due to the NRLW changes, it might change quite a bit between now and Saturday. Sage does look to return to the team, which will be a huge inclusion after she had a really strong start to the season. The Steelers lost last week to the Roosters 38-10, who were just behind them on the ladder and will be looking to improve this weekend. Uh, Rach said that their fullback Talia Anderson can find the try line, so she is definitely one for our girls to look out for. And she also wants to send a special shout out to their lock, Kayla Fleming, who is a fellow Cooma local who is playing this weekend. And Rach said it's wonderful to see you kicking goals after knowing you and your family for over 20 years. So that goes up with your what you were saying before about, it's more than rugby league is this is a young girl from Cooma who has moved to the Big Smoke to try to get her break in rugby league. And here she is getting to play for the Steelers against our girls this weekend. Um, Now, we do have the boys to talk about, but I think we might leave that. As we sort of said at the beginning, lots of people have talked about the boys already. They're playing on Sunday. A big shout out to Sol Sakura, who is getting his debut this weekend, which is very, very exciting for him. A few other changes across the team, but, Benji always does a little bit of a shuffle lately, so it may not run out 1 to 19 as mentioned there. The Dragons have only won 3 games this year, one of those being against us, their second game of the year against us. And shocked, I think, the whole NRL world last week with a win against the Sharks. So they're going to be very up for the occasion this weekend. Our boys are coming off a 7-game losing streak and by last weekend. But I guess one question for you, Linda. What do you want to see from the team over these last couple of weeks, just to round out the season?
I want to see them play for 80 minutes and give everything they've got. That's what we pay to come and watch. That's what we put our money on the table to support. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very good game, I believe. St. George are coming into it going, look at us, we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, we've come from a horror streak with, stuff that's flown, that's just us. So we've got to stand up and go, yeah, you think you can do this? We'll show you we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know whether it's the boys tap into the ego and the girls tap into that, wow, bitch, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but it's time to tap into that because we're heart and soul with you boys, it's a big ask that we ask of you to put your bodies on the line and everything like that. But that's what we want.
Yeah.
That's what we want. I've seen it. And when we all move as one, then it can happen. So, I'd like to think that we could be the ones that lift our sails and take the wind out of the dragon sails.
Mm-hmm. This is our last home game of the season as well. So this is the last opportunity that the boys have to really show the fans. Obviously people will be watching, people will go, well, some people will go to away games, but if the boys really want to show the fans, that there's something for us to keep coming back to, then this weekend is the weekend to do that.
Agree, darling. 100% agree.
So on that note, as we said, big double header this weekend. Gates open at 1:30. The girls kick off at 1:45. The boys then kick off at 4:05. So, it's only 2 hours, but a little bit more than 2 hours beforehand to come and watch the girls, grab some lunch, head on out there. The whole day is incredible. It's a really great opportunity to get behind our girls, really see what the club's doing with our NRLW program. There is the opportunity to get down on the fence and meet the girls as well after the game because, there is that gap between the NRLW and the NRL. So I know that the girls do try to get around, signed autographs, take photos with fans and supporters. So if you can, get down there. But Linda, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. As always, I've loved chatting footy with you and listening to your perspective. It's always so deep and always from the heart. And I just love the connection that we've all sort of built over this year and the years gone by. So uh, last quickly, shout out to yourself and Phil from Sydney West Furniture Repairs for supporting us and the Village Florist at Hunters Hill. But there's only 5 games to go of the NRLW season. So this weekend is your first chance to catch the girls at home. It's included in your membership. You don't have to pay. Get out there, come and watch the girls and go the Tigers.
Tell them to come and find us. I'm the one with the really loud whistle.
Yep. You
My,
will you will hear Linda before you see Linda. But
please come, everyone. You're going to have a ball. You're going to
that's
love it,
right.
I promise.
That's right. So thank you everybody again, and we'll